creative friends. My name is Joey Balestrieri. Welcome to my work table today and to my channel. This is maybe a little bit unusual looking. I've started this project based on some things I've been seeing in fashion. I don't know if you guys have seen any of the totem pendant necklaces, but I've actually been keep revisiting this one that is done by David Webb Jewelry, and it is $71,000. It's all gemstones, and it is a complete eclectic mix of like tiger's eye and coral and lavender gemstones and cloud blue gemstones and emerald, and like it almost at first glance doesn't make any sense because of all the different colors in the totem necklace. And then last weekend when I was at the Intergalactic Bead Show, I happened on to one of the booths that had a small section of their table with some of those gemstone totem style pendants. So I'll pop a picture up of that so you can have a look. And it just got me thinking that I could do my own version. Obviously it will not be that expensive, and I thought what a great way to wear larger beads. And one of the big 2024 jewelry trends is bold jewelry, but sometimes when you get huge with your beads and try to make things bold, they can be heavy, they can be hot and uncomfortable to wear. So this being a pendant will be bold and will have drama and that eclectic mix of colors. But if you can see what I've laid out here, I have tried to stick with some pinks, purples, and golds to try to keep a little bit more of a color scheme than what I've been seeing. But you could totally mix this up if you find this project intriguing. And I actually have, since I'm going to be making this into a pendant, I actually have this beautiful pearlized purple leather cord with a gold toggle clasp. And if you've been watching any of my upcycle and redesign videos from my Joey's Jewelry Box series, you saw that I cut away a pendant that was on this cord, and I'm going to use that for this pendant. And then I'll put a large enough bail on this that I can actually wear it on other things like gold chains, copper chains, that kind of thing. So that is my plan for that. And what you see here are some of my handmade jump rings out of 20 gauge wire, and I'm going to do everything in gold. And I just pulled out some seed beads, and you guys know I'm a clearance shopper. If you've been on my channel at all, you know that I love to scour the craft stores for clearance items when they have it. And so I got these for $1. This is a 6/0 Toho bead, and let's see, I don't know if the color is on here, but it's kind of like a berry color, really rich purple. And so I just thought they added in another little something for here. And then the other thing that I have is a little selection. I just went into my stash and just pulled out a selection of gold spacers, some discs in different sizes, because with these totem necklaces, and of course my version is not gemstones, my gemstone is crystal and check glass and some findings. I just want to make each section kind of interesting and totally different than the next. And I believe I'm going to be doing wrapped loops. I may do some with simple loops, but I think I'm going to be doing wrapped loops all the way down, and my pendant will be articulated. You could actually stack this on a single length of wire, but I kind of like the idea of it being articulated and having some movement. And I've done mine quite dramatic. When I look at these totem necklaces online and in fashion shows, I have seen them with only 3 little sections. I've seen them with 5, I've seen them with 4. So that is really up to you. If you're going to do this and you find this a fun project, make that your own. So I also have I keep a little scrap bag of wire, and so I'm using this 20 gauge gold wire that has an anti-tarnish coating on it. And I guess I'm going to start at the top with this little check glass bead. And again, this is a great stash buster. And also I get a lot of questions of people asking me what ideas for really large chunky beads. Like even this, we had this I think in one of our bead boxes, and it's a top side to side drilled crystal that's quite heavy and quite chunky, and people looked at that and said, you know, what can I make with that? So I think I'm going to be making my final drop on my totem pendant with that. But you know, besides like when you do a bracelet using those larger beads as one focal in a bracelet, this is another idea for ways to use them up. And also if you have special beads that you love, like for me, these I think these are called turbine beads. This is a check glass cut that's quite expensive. This part around is table cut, and these are not always easy to find when I'm bead shopping, and I happen to get a little strand of these, and so for me, like even a special bead is great in a design like this, because then it's really featured. It doesn't get lost in a whole strand of beads. So let's jump in. So for this first bead, I need to make a really large bail at the top. So I'm going to make my first wire wrapped loop. I'm going to come down here and make a bend. And you can go to the very fattest part of your round nose pliers to make a really large loop, but I need one that's even larger than that, because I need to go over the pretty much any clasp, but particularly my leather clasp. So I'm going to go with my bail making plier on this very largest side, and let's turn it this way, and I'm going to get a loop in there on that really largest bail, because I want to have the option of wearing this not only on that leather cord, but on anything else that I make. So I'm just going to get that around there so I have a really nice large bail, and I can just check and see, but I'm pretty sure that will go through. Yes, so this pendant can be strung onto, I'm making it large, so it can be strung onto some of my chains and other things that I keep in my jewelry wardrobe, because sometimes it's fun to just make pendants. So let me get my other pliers to help me. I normally don't do that many wraps, but in this case, because of the nature of this pendant, a little bit of chunkiness there, a little bit of substantiated wire is going to be good. And then this is not going to be facing forward. My leather has to string this way, so that will be the back of my wire, and I just always try to trim my wire in the back of a piece just so that the cut end is not so visible. And I can always go back. It's a little bit easier to tuck your cut end when the beads are on. Okay, so that is my start, and I do want to add some kind of a little gold spacer to this bead. So let me just look at my collection that I have over here. I'm going to try, in fact, let me just, I definitely won't need all of those, but let me just put a few. Oh, I even have, this is a craft store item that I purchased. Let's open this. These are cool little gold rings, and I just thought that a little stack of these might be good. Take some of those out. So from what I am seeing in fashion, these totem pendants are eclectic and different shapes, different textures, different colors, all mixed into one pendant. So that's kind of what I'm seeing, and I think it's really unique and cool, and I love the idea of wearing it on leather. Oh, I even have a few of these daisy spacers. So I'm just going to put a few things to work with out here, and some of these little disc beads as well, just plain little discs. And that way I can create each component having its own personality, and you know, we'll see. We'll see what it looks like. I'm going to start on this one by stacking 3 of those. Let's see. See how it looks. And this is so much fun because really I can just play. Oh, that is beautiful. And then maybe a gold. Maybe do something different on the bottom. Maybe a disc and a gold spacer bead. That is a really pretty start. I don't like the way those are stacking there, so let me put another. Let me start by putting a gold bead at the top. And so here's where, like all the way down the length of my totem pendant, I'm just going to create, what did I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I think this is going to be my 6th. I think I'm going to wrap these 2 together. So I'm just going to go down the length, creating 6 different individual components that are interesting. Oh, that's so much better. And then connect them all together. And I think that's going to be really, really unique. Let's see. Oh, that's really cool. Okay, now I'm going to do my first wire wrap. And like I said, I decided I was going to do wire wrapping because I actually don't know why I decided. I just thought it would make, you know, a little bit more of a statement on my totem necklace. And now I'm going to go back and I need to decide where I'm going to do these loops, and I think I'm going to make them a little bit large too, so maybe right about in the middle of my round nose pliers. Just center that. And I'm just going to, since that loop is so big, I'm just going to get it going the way, in the direction I need it to go in. And then just tuck my cut end. Okay, my first little section of my totem pendant is done, and I think on my cube bead, which will be my second one, I think on this one I'm going to try a herringbone around the cube. I don't think I've ever done the herringbone wrap on a cube bead, but I'm going to give it a try and see how it looks. And I'm going to do a little something different, a little different than what I normally do. I'm going to take a length of that 20 gauge wire, and I have cut a little, this is about 12 inches of 22 gauge wire, and I'm going to just start by getting, and you will have to forgive me because starting off there's a little bit of wire length here, but I'm just going to put like 3 wraps around this 20 gauge wire, and pardon me if the wire is kind of hitting the camera lens. It's a little bit to manage when you first start out. And then I'm just can use my pliers to make those coils nice and tight next to each other. And then I can trim away that little tail now and just kind of get this, kind of get it started. And it will move a little bit at first, but that's okay. And then I'm going to put my cube bead on about in the middle. And you know, to start off with, it's a little bit to hold on to, but then what I'm going to do is bring this wire down the side of my cube bead, just hugging it really closely, and get to the other end. And I want my 22 gauge wire to come on top of my 20 gauge core wire, so it's resting on top like that. And then I'm going to bring this wire to the back of that 20 gauge wire and back around to the front, And I'm going to do it one more time just so that this end matches where I started my coil. So can you see what's happening there? I know it's a gold crystal. And then I'm going to grab onto it and go down the other side of this cube bead, just really snuggling it close to it and get to this end. And again, this smaller wire goes on top of the core wire, and I'm going to also go at the top of those coils that we just made and then wrap it around to the back and around to the front. So it's really, when you do herringbone, it's really just front to back. And then when I come down this side, I want to lay the wire behind the wire that's already there, always going to the back. So just like that, and come back to this side, and this wire again on the top of the core wire and on the top of the existing wraps, and then go to the back and back around to the front. And I'm going to continue in that way down the side behind the existing wire and make sure I'm on the front and on the top of the wraps, and then wrap it to the back and back around to the front. And I'm just going to keep going in that way, going behind the wraps that are already there, staying on the front, and go to the back and back around to the front. And we're going to just keep going until I'm happy with the look. I've never used a cube bead for this technique before, but I kind of like it. I think it's pretty. Let's see how we're looking. That is really pretty. I love it. Okay, and then let's see. Let me see, how many do I have? 3 and 3. I think I'm going to do one more because I have enough wire here, and I have the space on the side of the cube bead. So can you see my wires are all laying right beside each other? And it's just a front to back wrap. And this will be my last one. Just going to come right behind those wires, grab a hold of it, make sure I'm on the front of the core wire, and then go back and back around to the front. And I'm going to go back around to the back this time, and that's where I'm going to trim off. I just think this is going to be a beautiful little section of my totem necklace. Okay, and so you could really choose here which is going to be the front. Whenever you do a herringbone wrap, one side, you know, there's a front and a back, and they're both equally beautiful. So you can, like, at this point choose whether that's going to be the front or whether that's going to be the front. I like them both. I actually don't know, but I think I prefer this one. And now here I think I will make a simple loop. And so let's see, I'm going to go front to back with this simple loop. So I'm just going to give that wire a bend and a trim and just roll it. That is so pretty. And we'll do the same thing on this side. Bend it 90 degrees. I'm being careful not to disturb my work here. Make it a little bit shorter and just roll it back into a little loop. Okay, so there is the second little section of the totem necklace, and now I just have to continue going. And like when I get to this one, I actually think that this little cool cube bead that was left over, I believe from Curated Bead Box, it's a cube, it's like a rounded edged cube with a with a frosted section and a matte section. I'm sorry, a frosted section and a clear section. And I mean, I could see the gold wire. Like, I made a bracelet using the others of these, but I can see the wire through the middle, and I just thought that putting that in the middle of a bead frame so that it can spin around would be a beautiful section. So I'm going to continue down, and when I get to this one, I have a plan for my final drop on my totem necklace. So I'm going to do these off camera, so this video won't be too long. I'm going to continue to just wire wrap, choose some gold spacers in between, and I'll come back and show you my plan for these bottom two parts of my totem pendant. So I'm going to pause, just be a second for you, and I'll be right back. So I played with all my beads and my spacers and my wire, and I've created components. We did that one together, and I just took some cube seed beads that I had in my stash and just made a little wire wrapped loop on that one. I had to work out a little bit. I really wanted this to spin, and so I had to work out a little bit of the spacing with my little ring spacers and the seed beads to make sure that this was mobile. And I decided on my little turbine bead to just let it stand alone because I love it, and that also will spin. And so my necklace, my pendant is going to be quite long, but I am usually okay with that. If you've been on my channel for like 5 seconds, you know that I always make long necklaces. But this year, it is a really big fashion trend. The runway shows that I saw from Milan Fashion Week, the models had chains going all the way down to their knees in some cases. Now that is not really practical for every day, but long necklaces elongate us. They make us taller and slimmer looking. Who doesn't want that? But it's also very dramatic and just very stylish. So this is a very fashion forward design. So all that being said, when I try it on, when I'm all finished, I may disconnect one of my components just to shorten my pendant, but knowing me, I may not. So at the end, I'll put this on Gabriella Eva so you can see what it looks like. And also I had started out thinking I would be doing all wire wrapped loops, but I actually alternated. I did a simple loop here and a simple loop here and a simple loop here, and that way on these I'm keeping my beads, they're wire wrapped so they stay facing forward, because I mean it's okay on the side, but the beauty of this bead is the front. And also on this component I wanted this check glass bead to be facing forward, so that will make connecting really easily. And now I'm going to just create something a little bit unusual for my final drop. I have another piece of the 22 gauge wire that I used to do the herringbone here, and the holes on this crystal are gigantic, so that's okay. I'm actually going to string this bead on and let it go right to the middle of this little length of 20 gauge wire. Let me dump out some of these 6/0 seed beads, and I'm just going to thread them on. I've already tested, and they literally go right through the middle of this crystal, so you know that's a big hole when a 6/0 seed bead will go right in the middle. And that I'm going to let it do that. I'm going to let them go right through the middle. I think it's kind of cool how you see it. And then I'm just going to thread enough to come out both sides, and I'm going to pull these wires together almost like, I'm thinking it's going to make like a teardrop shape. And so my last few little articulated components on my totem pendant are going to be kind of movable. Let's see if I want to get I want to keep this moving freely if I can, but I do need to bend the wire. I'm going to get my desired amount of seed beads. I don't exactly know what that is. I'm going to add one more to each side. And I'm going to draw these wires together. Let's see how that looks. It's movable, but when I draw them together, that's going to hinder the movement a little bit. I know it will. Just pinch it together. It's still moving a little bit. And right here, I'm just going to put a little twist in that 22 gauge wire. So, and before I continue, let me just pull everything into position. And let's see, I wanted to draw both wires up. I believe that I have the space in my gold cone bead to, let me make this twist a little bit neater. Let me see. I got these cone beads at the Orlando Bead Show, where I also saw the totem pendant necklaces, and they have an e-coating. They're from a seller called Purity Beads, And I love this gentleman's booth. I look for him at every show that I go to, and I always bring a significant budget so that I can, you know, buy chain. And his beads are they are stunning. His pieces are stunning, but they are all anti-tarnish, and they have a brass base metal, and then then the plating, and then the anti-tarnish coating. So they're very, very high quality, and I just love his products. So I always bring a significant budget so that I can stock up, because the show prices are a little bit better than the website prices. There you go. And I'm going to pull that down with this for a moment. My little ring of seed beads. And now I think what I'm going to do is, if it will fit, I think it will. If I can get, yes, I was hoping. And so I think what I'm going to do is just pretend this is one wire and just get a wire wrapped loop in there with both wires, just holding them together. And I could have twisted it, but I think it looks pretty like this. This is a very artisan, almost like an art gallery. I don't know, this feels like art, a wearable art to me. It feels like fashion forward, just very free form. If I were to sit and do another one of these, it would look nothing. It would look nothing like this one. So I love that though. That is my vibe, is one of a kind artisan pieces that, you know, I'll only do one of, and you'll never see it anywhere else. And I just love that kind of jewelry. So a little challenging to tuck the ends because it's double, but I'm just going to take a second and play around with it, make sure that I have everything tucked. I don't know if you guys can hear Oprah, but she just drank, my dog, she just drank half a bowl of water, and she's a drippy girl. And a noisy girl. I'm never sure what my microphone picks up, but she's always right near me. She's either under my work table, on my feet, or she's always close by. Okay, let's see how we did. I think this is so cool. I love it. So now it's just a matter of connecting. I always have to clean up because I think better when my work area is clean. Just me. And I guess I'll start at the top and just open my simple loop on my herringbone wrap and connect. And as I said at the outset, if this project is appealing to you and it's something that you want to try, you know, use beads that you love, use colors that you love, and make adjustments to the design so that it's you and your style, your colors. If you have certain beads or special beads, this is one of those designs that can really feature your special beads and you'll be able to see them. And you can definitely shorten this. And if you're brave and bold, you can make it even longer than I did. And you know, this is just like really fun. And the fact that I'm going to put it on leather cord is also a little bit edgy. And so this is like, I don't know, gypsy, boho, I'm not sure what this style is, but definitely runway inspired, definitely. And I can tell you, like, I always get a feeling when I've made a piece, and I can tell you, I love this. I think this is so stunning and unusual and artisan, and like truly this is art. So let's put it on this little leather cord to start off with. And if you've been around my channel, you may have seen some of my videos where I keep cords. I keep gold chain, brass chain, copper chain, some different colors of leather with a clasp on the end, and I keep those in my jewelry wardrobe just plain. And then as I make pendants and things, it cuts down on the amount of necklaces. As jewelry makers, we make a lot of jewelry, so it cuts down on the amount of necklaces that are hanging in your jewelry wardrobe, and then you can change it out. Like if I were wearing this more casual, like with jeans and a t-shirt, or like even to put this over my head, I could see this with my swimsuit cover up when I go on my beach vacations and I want to go like to the little patio and have a drink or something. That would be that. But if I want to dress this up, I could switch this to a really pretty gold chain that's sparkly and dress it up. So I will take this over to Gabriella Eva so that you can see, because it's much too long for my beading mat, but I love it. I think this is so unique, and you know, my take on a $71,000 gemstone totem pendant necklace, and you know, I think it's just beautiful, and it was really fun to make, really fun, because I was just playing with spacers and odd beads that I had left over, playing with discs and seed beads and wire, and no rule. And so it was a really fun project. So I hope you guys will give this a try, and I thank you so much for watching and for choosing my video today. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, it is a lovely way to support my work. It doesn't cost you anything or obligate you to anything. And also, I love receiving emails with your little furry faced helpers that are around your work tables, and the community just, it's heartwarming for everyone. I get so many positive comments about that. And one of the things that I love about living in Florida is that there's so much nature and so much wildlife right in my neighborhood. I mean, there was a turtle in my driveway the other day, and you'll see, I'm going to pop up a video and some pictures, but I went on my patio and opened my patio umbrella, and there was a little tiny bat in the patio umbrella, and we have all kinds of birds and, you know, raccoons, and there was an armadillo that came on my patio the other night, and I just love the wildlife. It's so beautiful and sweet, and it's one of the things that I love about living in Orlando is that I can go to 5 or 6 craft stores in a day if I want to, and go to the theater and go to have a choice of restaurants, but at the same time I have wildlife and nature as if I were out in the middle of nowhere. So it's one of the things I love about my home, and I just thought I would share that with all of you. So send me your beautiful little pet photos, and thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao, creative friends.